Hi everyone, Elite Assassin here, and today I kind of want to talk about one of my favorite JRPG series, the Tales of series. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because it has a new game coming out on the 25th for the PS3 called the Tales of Symphonia HD Collection. Now, this is a HD version of a GameCube game called Tales of Symphonia, which is known by many fans as like the best of the Tales games. It's kind of like the Final Fantasy VII of Tales games. And I know, people argue over the best Final Fantasy, but 7's my favorite. Um, so there's that. And I kind of wanted to just, bring awareness to the series because it's kind of a niche, not really well known, and not very well marketed over here in the US. But in recent years, it's kind of grown to be my favorite JRPG series, with the Final Fantasy games being kind of meh. So I kind of wanted to just go over what makes them, unique to other JRPGs, and hopefully, like I said, pique your guys' interest and maybe make you want to give the games a shot, because they're available on a lot of different platforms. There's one on the 3DS, there's one on the 360, and two on the PS3 with, like I said, Tales of Symphonia coming out on the PS3 also next week. So I'm going to try to dive into some things like customization. I'm going to talk about each individual game and something called skits, which I think are probably my favorite part of Tales. Now, for customization, the Tales games usually offer the ability to change your character's costumes and add attachments to them, which kind of gives your own personal style and uniqueness to your characters. It's really fun, and it's one of my favorite things about the Tales games. Oh, and did I mention that the attachments and costumes you put on your characters are rendered in the in-game cutscenes? So you could take a really serious scene and just kind of make it a little silly. And I know, it's had some really funny effects in the time I played. Actually, I'm going to have an example of it for you here right now, so see if you can spot the difference.
You expect us to take your word for this?
But I was...
This girl, she was that test subject?
Yes, she was.
Even in Hamil, Elise was forced to live in a tiny room. Don't you consider that
Cruel?
Well, yes.
Tell me something, boy. Have you ever considered what it takes to achieve happiness?
To achieve happiness?
Yes, to try and live a satisfying life. How do you think one can achieve that? Do you even know?
Well...
It takes freedom to make your own decisions and to form your own beliefs.
Exactly. It takes freedom.
Well, I disagree.
One of the things I like about Tales games too is the combat. The combat in Tales is a real-time action game kind of combat. And as you see here, it works differently than games like Star Ocean if you played them. It normally works on a 2D system. As you'll see, I'm moving in three directions now, but mostly it works on 2D scale unless you hold a button to do that. And it allows for you to have like 4 different skill inputs for special moves and just, jumping and battle and stuff like that. And it allows for a lot of combos, and the combat's really, really fun. Now, the combat here you see in the background is from Tales of Vesperia, which is the only Xbox Tales out there. It's available on the marketplace for I think like $25 to download, and it's it's a huge steal for this game. It is, I think, by far my favorite Tales game. And, well, the one I'm playing now, Zelda, is kind of fighting for it right now. But overall, it's one of my favorites. It's got a great story to it. All the Tales games have really good art. And that's one of the things I like about them. They have, anime cutscenes and just kind of stylized differently from other JRPGs. But like I was saying, Vesperia, it will run you about like 80 hours. So for $25, you definitely get your money's worth. The cast of characters is overall very solid. And heck, one of them's a pipe smoking dog, which is pretty funny. You'll see him a little later on in the skits part. But great cast characters, really fun, and a main character that's really, really badass. He's a lot different, and he isn't afraid to get his hands dirty to get things done. So it's definitely a nice change from a lot of other JRPG main heroes, and, well, what can I say? He's just badass. Now, moving on, this is Tales of Grace's F, which is for the PS3. And this game is a little bit more of a lighthearted game, and that can kind of turn people off, but it definitely has some of the most fun, fast, and fluid combat of all the Tales games I've played. And I would highly recommend it for a starter game. Like I said, the keenness of it and the lightheartedness might bother some people, but if you can get over that, it's a great game. Good story, really, really funny skits, and definitely has some memorable characters. Plus, it's got probably my favorite main character's fighting style, as he uses kind of like a sheath sword style. It's just really cool. And moving on here, we have Tales of Xillia, which is kind of the newest one besides the one coming out this week. It just came out of August of last year. And this one is for the PS3 and kind of has a stark contrast to the last one I just showed you, as this one has more of a darker tone, a little more of a serious tone. The characters in this game work together very well, and they're very down to earth for a JRPG. They they definitely battle with what's going on. They kind of struggle to make sense of what they're doing and if what they're doing is right and wrong, and it's really nice to see. And even the bad guys in this game kind of have a gray area about them, where they're not exactly all terrible. They have kind of like the right ideas about what they're doing. Just, kind of doing it in a forcible and somewhat wrong way. At least at the point of in the game I am. Actually, a new villain just kind of got thrown on me. So there definitely are some twists and turns in this game, which makes the story pretty good. And also, lastly, I said there was a 3DS game, which is actually a port of a PS2 game. It's called Tales of the Abyss, and that game holds probably my favorite Tales character out of them all. He goes by the name Jade Curtis. He's known in the game as Jade the Necromancer, and he has a very sarcastic humor to him, which I absolutely love. And he's a lot of fun. He's kind of a jackass character, and he often picks on the main character quite a bit. But he's definitely fun. That game has a little bit, I don't want to say a downside to it, but it's an older of all the games I mentioned, and with the exception of the HD remake coming out this week, it is the older one you could play for the newer consoles. So certain things like skits not being voiced, and just the way the battle system works might feel a little old if you're playing it. And even though it's a 3DS game, 3D really wasn't implemented into it at all. It was just kind of a direct port from the PS2. So don't go in expecting a lot of 3D in it, but it is still a really solid game. It's still a very long game, and it's got a very good story. The cast characters, some of them can be kind of annoying in there, the party members. Definitely maybe my least favorite cast overall, but like I said, has one of my favorite characters of all time. And the warning right now, the main character is kind of a little bitch for like half the game. Just gonna warn you about that right now. Luke can be just a nightmare. Alright, now I kind of want to talk about one of the last main things about Tales games that I like, and that's skits. Skits are little side things that you can avoid altogether if you want, but I'd highly recommend listening to them, as they do a lot of different things. They can kind of give you insight into what your character's thinking, and I'm just going to kind of show you a few examples right now. Like, the one that you're going to be seeing here is at the very beginning of Tales of Vesperia, and the main character just got woken up, and he's going to try to figure out what's going on. So here's an example of skits being used for kind of like a character's inner thoughts.
First, the trouble with the knights yesterday. Now the Aqua Blastia breaks. Why does stuff like this happen every day in the lower quarter? I know. There's no use whining about it.
And sometimes they can kind of be used to be given, give a character's backstory.
How did you get to be so good at sewing anyway?
I learned it when I was in the military. Originally, it was just so I could sew up the lips of any of my men who leaked vital information. After that, I took up needlepoint as a hobby. Oh, that's such an embarrassing story, though. Let's keep that a secret between us.
And other times they're just kind of fun.
And you think this statue is his?
I thought it was just an ancient legend, but this statue seems real enough. Perhaps the Rockagong's stomach holds a mountain of treasure.
Wait, can that really be true?
Yes, it's certainly possible.
Oh, wow. But there's a good chance the Rockagong was all brat and just crapped it back out. I can't take this anymore.
Pascal.
What?
You can be so oblivious.
And one of the last things is, after you beat a Tales game, that's not the end of the game, really. After every battle, you receive a thing called grade. And well, some games depend on how you get grade, but mostly it's after battle in most of the games, except for Azilia. And what grade is used for is for New Game Plus. As you see here, you get a grade shop, and you can customize your next experience with a whole range of different options. It's really, really cool and fun. It adds a lot of replayability to the game, and that's not something that RPGs generally have. Alright, I know it was kind of a lot of information to put into a 15-minute video, or 13-minute, however long it is, but hopefully I was able to, maybe pique your interest about this game, and maybe get you guys to give it a shot when you get a chance. Like I said, they're out for a lot of systems that people have. You don't have to go and get a GameCube or a PS2 to enjoy these games. They're out now. Tales of Abyss might be kind of hard to find, but besides that, the other ones should be pretty easy to find. And like I said, Vesperia is on Games on Demand, so it's right there on the Xbox Live Marketplace for you. Thank you guys for watching. I know this video is a little different than what I usually make, but I do plan to actually make kind of a kind of short Let's Play of Tales of Symphonia and the 10-10-2 collection. Kind of like the first maybe 20 minutes of each. So hopefully that'll be fun, and I'll see how that goes. But again, thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys have a good day.
Thank you for your faithful service.